Is there a possibility where the Miami Heat can bring either Kyle Kuzma or Daniel Gafford to the Miami Heat to help us with this size issue? Miami Heat finally win after losing 7 straight last night against the Sacramento Kings. All that and more on another episode of Miami Heat Talk. What's up, guys? Your boy Ernest here. I'm back with another Miami Heat Talk video. Damn, I'm happy, you guys. Look, I know it's just one win. I know it's not something to celebrate over. I know it's not something to have a parade over, but it feels great. I think we're probably the only team in the NBA that's won 7 straight and lost 7 straight. This Miami Heat team, you guys, it's a ride of an emotional roller coaster, but it's one hell of a ride, and we do it together. Now, the Miami Heat defeat the Sacramento Kings last night, 115-106. Saw a lot of great things in the game. One great thing we got to see, you guys, was Jimmy Butler looking like he gave a damn again. I don't know what it is. From October to January, it's like the man just doesn't give a shit about basketball. But then February, you see a different man. You saw it out there. He was leading the offense. He was leading the defense. He was going after loose balls. He was defending more efficiently. I think Jimmy Butler heard all the crap that was being talked about him, all the trade ideas, and he wanted to remind everyone exactly who the hell he is. So I'm happy with Jimmy Butler's performance last night, but we need to see this consistently. I don't want to see one game like this and then you hover back to mediocrity. Jimmy Butler makes $45 million this season. He's our superstar player. We need superstar games, especially the way that we're doing right now. He wasn't alone. You had 24 from Josh Richardson, 16 from Bam Adebayo. So, guys. So this was a game that I felt that you had multiple people that did their jobs. I mean, Josh Richardson, 24 points off the bench. We know that with this Miami Heat roster, it's not all only going to be on Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler. You got to have somebody else that steps up. When our role players are dominant, there's no way we can be beat. We legit have one of the best benches in the NBA. They haven't been playing like it lately. We were 5-10 in January. But the good thing about that is that we can just brush it off. We can move forward, and we can see exactly what we have coming up. Now, Friday, we got Washington. Sunday, we got LA Clippers. It's going to be a little bit difficult. Excuse me, guys. I'm trying to pull up some stats for you guys. Anyways, so Friday, we got the Washington Wizards. Now, the Washington Wizards, even though they're not the best team in the NBA, at this point, you can't take games lightly. You got to win at every opportunity. Washington on Friday, the Clippers on Sunday, Orlando on Tuesday, San Antonio on Wednesday, and then the true test. Next Sunday, you got the Boston Celtics. Prime time on ABC. Got to get that revenge. So this Miami Heat squad, you guys, we got a lot of winnable games coming up. I think in this next 5-game stretch, the Heat can go 3-2, 4-1. If we're able to go 4-1, we're going to bring ourselves back to the Eastern Conference standings, bring ourselves higher in the Eastern Conference standings. So the Miami Heat has a lot to fight for coming up. Now, it's funny that I mentioned the Washington Wizards on Friday, because this video is centered around players in the Washington Wizards. So on Friday, you're going to be able to watch these players close up and see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, yesterday, it was reported in The Athletic a few things. First and foremost, that the Washington Wizards are still looking to shop Kyle Kuzma before the February 8th trade deadline. It was reported yesterday by The Athletic that the Washington Wizards are currently looking for 2 future first-round draft picks in a trade involving Kyle Kuzma. However, they understand that that may not be likely. If they're trying to move Kyle Kuzma by the February 8th deadline, they got one more week to get this done. So a lot of times when you're making a trade for a player and you ask for the world, it's just like in sales, you guys. Anybody that works in sales knows this. You start with your higher number and then you trickle down and get the deal done. So right now, The Athletic was reporting that Washington Wizards are basically looking to meet somewhere in the middle. Ladies and gentlemen, the middle is where the Miami Heat can operate. I think that Kyle Kuzma I've talked about Kyle Kuzma before, but I think Kyle Kuzma on this roster gives us exactly what we need. Now, no, he's not a 7-foot rebounder. He's not a dominant center, but what he is a 6'9", 221-pound power forward. He's a guy who's almost the same height as Bam Adebayo. You put Kyle Kuzma in the front court with Bam Adebayo. This alleviates pressure off of Bam Adebayo to be the only one grabbing rebounds. And also, he's a scoring forward. He's averaging 22 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, 4.3 assists, so he can facilitate as well. 45% from the field, 33% from the three-point line, and 79% from the free throw line. This is a guy who can definitely help you with size, but not just with size, he gives you a scoring presence down low. I think Kyle Kuzma would be a great fit with this Miami Heat roster. I love me some Haywood Highsmith. I think Haywood Highsmith is an exceptional defender. At times, he can be a sniper from the three-point range. But one problem with Haywood Highsmith, and we even saw it last night, it's this size issue. Now, I've heard people call Haywood Highsmith 6'5". No. Haywood Highsmith is anywhere from 6'3", maybe 6'4" if we're being lucky. That's not a power forward, ladies and gentlemen. That's a shooting guard in the NBA. Maybe you can play small forward at times. I remember I was watching at the free throw line, Haywood Highsmith standing next to Sabonis and Keegan Murray, and it looked like varsity versus JV. I mean, this is, as much as Haywood Highsmith is amazing defensively, I don't think he's a starting player, especially with this team. You can't put him in the starting lineup with Bam Adebayo, who's already an undersized center. So if you plug Haywood Highsmith out, add in a guy like Kyle Kuzma, that would really work. But I don't just think Kyle Kuzma would be the answer. Washington has another player that I want to talk about. A player that a lot of you have been in my comments about. Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford is a big man from the Washington Wizards. He's 6'10", 234 pounds. Dude's a beast. He's averaging almost 11 points a game, 8 rebounds, 2 block shots a game, which is something Miami desperately needs. We need somebody who can clog the paint, who can block shots. He's averaging almost 70% for the field. 70% for the field. 70% from the free throw line. He's a bucket getter on his own. Daniel Gafford with this Miami Heat team would be the perfect option. If you bring Daniel Gafford to this team, here's the big difference between Kyle Kuzma and Daniel Gafford. Whoever you decide to get, you're going to have a completely different offense. If you get Daniel Gafford and plug him next to Bam Adebayo in the starting lineup, now you're going old school. You're having two guys in the front that can't really shoot the three-point shot. But if you trade for Kyle Kuzma, you can continue to play the offense that you play. A starting lineup with Bam Adebayo, Kyle Kuzma, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Terry Rozier could work. It could be one of the best offensive lineups in the NBA. The problem is, defensively, will it work? That's the reason why Haywood Highsmith starts in the power forward position. Because Spoelstra has him and Jimmy switch off against opponents defensively. If you plug in Kyle Kuzma there, he's not as good defensively as Haywood Highsmith. But I still think it can work, you guys. Because what have I said before? I don't think Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero is the fit as a backup starting unit. As a starting backcourt. Last night, you guys, yes, Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero did start together, but if you noticed in the fourth quarter, Erik Spoelstra was rotating them. Whenever Tyler was on the floor, Terry wasn't on the floor. Whenever Terry was on the floor, Tyler wasn't on the floor. I think this is something different that Erik Spoelstra is trying, and I think we're going to see more of it. Maybe they'll continue to start together, but I don't think they're going to finish games together. With that, you plug in guys like Josh Richardson, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Haywood Highsmith, whoever's hot. That's the great thing about Erik Spoelstra. He goes with matchup base and he goes with whoever's hot. Josh Richardson closed out the game yesterday because of what he was doing. Now, the big question is, if you're going to trade for Kyle Kuzma or Daniel Gafford, what are you going to have to give up? Because the sweetie of the deal, the tradable person that we've been talking about a lot is Tyler Hero. Would you guys be willing to give up Tyler Hero in a trade for Kyle Kuzma? It won't really work for Daniel Gafford. I mean, it could work, but you got to aggregate players, make the numbers work. So I have some trade options for you guys. I have 3 different options. First option. First option is going to be a little bit out there. This isn't really a realistic option, but it does work financially. If Miami's able to take Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and attach a future first-round draft pick for Kyle Kuzma, Daniel Gafford, you would be able to make that trade. I don't know if Washington would be willing to do that, though, because Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson have a lot of time left on their contract. So I think what Washington wants to do is kind of blow up the team. So what do teams want if they're blowing something up? We've talked about this before, but I'll mention it again. Young assets, expiring contracts, and future first-round draft picks. So I don't think a trade centered around Tyler Hero with Washington would actually work. I think Miami wants to keep Tyler Hero. I think Miami wants to try to make this work with the current roster we have. So I have two different trade ideas, and you guys let me know which one would you prefer. Let's start with Kyle Kuzma. Now, Kyle Kuzma's on a 4-year, $90 million contract. But one thing about Kyle Kuzma's contract, as the years progress, the numbers go down. It's not like a normal contract where you make the less amount the first year, the most amount the final year. It's switched around. So this year, Kyle Kuzma's making the most at $25 million. So here's a trade idea that I put in the ESPN trade machine that does work. Now, remember, Washington's looking for two future first-round draft picks. Miami doesn't have that, but we can meet them in the middle. Miami can give up Duncan Robinson, who really hasn't been playing lately. I know he's under concussion protocol, but he hasn't really met the roster. So you throw in Duncan Robinson. I know Heat fans. I love me some Duncan too. I know he's our sniper, but it's to get a big man. And to get a big man down low to help with Bam, we need to sacrifice. So you give Washington Duncan Robinson, who has shown that he's evolved, and you can go with him towards your future. And he only has 2 years left on his contract, so it will be tradable next year. Nikola Jovic. You give them that young asset moving forward for the future, a guy that they can look upon with Jordan Poole. And you can attach the 2030 future first-round draft pick for Kyle Kuzma. Ladies and gentlemen, the numbers work. The trade will go through. The question is, would Washington do that? They would. In my opinion, I don't see why not. You're getting Duncan Robinson, who has shown that his game has evolved. His contract's expiring soon, so you can trade it next year, like I mentioned. You got a young asset in Nikola Jovic that you can build. You can actually consider that as a first-round draft pick. And then you throw them the 2030 future first-round draft pick. So they get the capital that they need. And that gets us Kyle Kuzma. And the reason why I'm saying to trade Duncan Robinson, you guys, is because first and foremost, the numbers work. But secondly, if you trade Duncan Robinson, you have somebody to fill that bracket. Duncan Robinson is basically backing up Tyler Hero right now. But Jaime Jaquez Jr. does as well. So Jaime Jaquez Jr. is going to take that role as the backup guard. You also can keep Caleb Martin as the backup for Jimmy. You also have Haywood Highsmith, who can play wing. Jamal Cain as well. The Heat have players to fill that gap. That's why Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, to me, are the most tradable players on this team. Because if you trade them, you have somebody that can take their spot. My opinion. Now, here's the second trade. And in my opinion, this is the one I'd rather do. And this is the one I think all you Heat fans are going to prefer. But I want your opinion. So the second trade involves Daniel Gafford. Now, Daniel Gafford right now is he has 3 years, $40 million left on his contract. This year, he's making $12.4 million. I don't think Washington is going to trade Daniel Gafford because they like what he's producing. However, if you can convince Washington to make a trade based on assets, draft picks, and expiring contracts, Miami has all three. If Washington's really looking to blow it up, if they're able to find another suitor for Kyle Kuzma and deal Daniel Gafford to the Miami Heat, here's the trade package that would work. Trade Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, and the 2020 future first-round draft pick for Daniel Gafford. Ladies and gentlemen, the numbers work. It's a trade that would help both teams. You are giving Washington an expiring contract with Caleb Martin. They can choose if they want to keep him or let him go. Or do a sign-in trade, maybe. You got Nikola Jovic to build for the future and that 2030 future first-round draft pick. Future first-round draft picks are very influential for teams that are looking to make trades. Now, I think the Kyle Kuzma deal is more likely, But I would love me some Daniel Gafford. I think Daniel Gafford on this roster being the backup center or even starting next to Bam. But here's the thing. If you get Daniel Gafford, you guys, now you can really do matchup base. You can have Daniel Gafford back up Bam Adebayo entirely. Maybe even play some stretches with Bam for the defense. But now you can choose who you want to start in the power forward rotation moving forward. Now you can look at guys like Jaime Jaquez, Haywood Highsmith if you want for a few games, and Kevin Love as a starting power forward rotation. And you go based off a matchup. Maybe you can throw Bam Adebayo as a starting 4 with Daniel Gafford as a starting 5, and you have a nightmare defensively. Now you can tell Bam Adebayo and Gafford to focus on the defense and allow Jimmy, Tyler, and Terry Rozier to do their thing offensively. There's a lot of reasons why these trades would work for us because it gives us more flexibility with what we need. Size. So I want to hear from Heat fans. Let me know what you think, guys. Do you feel that the trade for Kyle Kuzma or Daniel Gafford works better? Or do you think there's a way that the Miami Heat can get both Kyle Kuzma and Daniel Gafford? And if so, what do you think it needs to take to get done? I believe to trade for Kyle Kuzma and Daniel Gafford, you're going to probably have to give up Duncan, Tyler, Nikola Jovic, and a future first-round draft pick. The numbers may not work, so it may have to be Tyler, Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, and a future first. But this is really interesting, you guys, because we got one more week for the trade deadline. The Heat are back in our winning ways. If we go on a nice little winning streak run, maybe there's no need to make a trade. But right now, you guys, we know what we're hampering the most, and that is size. Yes, we won last night. It's amazing that we won. But still, you lost 7 straight. You know the hole that you have. Fill it. That's what she said. Anyways, so I want to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think either of these trades would actually work, or do you believe that the Miami Heat should just keep it how we have it? Let me know what you guys think about the game last night. How excited are you? Do you think that this is going to start a momentum for the Miami Heat? Or do you think it's just one game? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget, you guys, smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Really need your guys' help to get to 3,000 subscribers. We are almost there. I need your guys' support. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you for your support, you guys. And until next time, your boy Ernest out. That's enough said. Let's go Heat.